Well, hello there. My name is Dave Bila. I want to welcome you to this new edition of News and Views broadcast by Access LaPorte County on Public Access TV Channel 99. We are a weekly public opinion program addressing local, state, national topics and issues of interest to the Michigan City and surrounding areas. Opinions are the views and responsibilities of those making the comments and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of this program or its co-producers. We will hear broadcast rules, but absolutely no one's First Amendment rights of freedom of speech or freedom of the press will be either muzzled nor denied. Any unauthorized use of the accounts, descriptions, and events of this program without the express written consent of Larry Curly or Schmo is strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoy the program, the discussion, and the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, lots going on in Michigan City. One of the issues that Bob asked for me to do a little research on was the state of Mississippi. That's M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I.
There's another way to do that. M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P in your eye. That was how a lot of kids learned it.
And the concern that Bob had was the state of Mississippi, their literacy-based program has been producing quite well in their fourth grade level of retention, of learning retention. And he had some inquiries, how did they make it happen? So I did a little research and they talked about their literacy-based program where they teach basic skills, again, vowels, phonics. They teach third graders and below how to properly read and comprehend. And then from reading and comprehension goes to being able to interpret the value of the sentence and so on and so on and so on. They initiated this program in 2013.
Yeah.
So they've been doing it for 12 years. Yeah. That's the reason why.
And they're finding results as they go along.
That is correct. And so they're pertaining to this program, they focus on science of reading. The science of reading. Okay, they focus on the science of reading, early identification and intervention. Again, a lot of kids, maybe because of they need glasses, they can't read. I mean, all of these can be identified. Third grade reading, promotion, and retention. If you can't handle it in third grade, they put you back a grade until you can handle it. Teaching, training, and coaching. Mississippi has seen notable gains in the National Reading Assessment. Particularly in the fourth grade. Demographic gains, state of education reforms have resulted in low-income students in Mississippi outperforming their demographic counterparts nationally. We have a similar situation here in LaPorte County. And the bottom line, if the data center becomes a reality, we need kids capable of comprehension.
The first thing the school system is going to have to do, because they are going to get a significant more amount of money, is they're going to have to be able to say to the teachers and the staff and the administrators, the concentration has to be on these kids who are not performing up to grade level. And one of the things that I did find out, although Dave did a lot of good research, what I found out was the basics behind this was phonics and flashcards. And then I was talking to my wife, who taught third grade for many years, and she was telling me that in the school she taught in, a lot of them did use phonics and it did work. But another statistic that came out was that if you are reading and doing math up to grade level in the third grade, you have over a 50% chance of being able to do math and reading at the 12th grade level when you graduate high school. Somebody had to do a lot of research on that when somebody's trying for a PhD in education. But
probably got one.
Yeah, on that they probably did. But it was really a good study. But we've got to start to figure out, how do we apply these concepts in our school system, because they are going to have the money to do it. But they can't waste the money on other programs where you don't accomplish near as much for your student body, in my opinion. That's my thought on that.
Yeah, and the next issue to be discussed is House Bill 1, and what impact does it have on everybody and everybody. The City of Michigan City, in the last City Council meeting on the 19th, just passed the wheel tax. They did not pass the value of the wheel tax that they're going to implement. They just passed the concept.
I thought they said $25.
Well, I don't believe they're going to have a workshop to address which way they're going to go. They didn't specify a specific amount. They discussed the topic of variables, but they didn't come to a conclusion. They just passed the concept of the wheel tax. In reading House Bill 1,
Hey, just a second, could I
I thought they said $25.
Could I introduce something down here, because it says in adoption procedures, the wheel tax and vehicle excise tax must be adopted concurrently by ordinance by the council of the adopting municipality. What they're saying here is if you adopt one, you have to adopt the other one.
well,
Yes.
they
got both.
They adopted the concept of both,
Both,
I thought
okay.
they had to do it, and by the first,
which they did.
and they had to say, and they said $25. I thought even Councilman Presley said that he's going to vote for the $25. I watched the meeting on Algo.
Yeah, I watched the meeting too, but I heard that they're going to hold a workshop.
They had a workshop on the 18th. And then they came to this and they voted this straight through. Second, third reading, done deal.
Well, going back to, going back to House Bill 1, the issue,
$24K a year.
the issue that we've been on for the last 4 years pertaining to the 15% of TIF revenue. House Bill 1 includes a provision that allows the city of Michigan City and the surrounding areas to make a similar request up to 5% for that 15% available monies within the TIF district. So the city, 5% of let's say $10 million is what, 500,000?
Yeah.
So the city of Michigan City could utilize the Redevelopment Commission's funding mechanism to help pay the bills based on the legislation I read in House Bill 1. And I'll point it out to you, but there's so many words here that it's difficult, but I'll point it out to you that they will be eligible for a portion of that 15%, which then cuts into the 15% that the schools is getting and so on. Which then, that $500,000 would have a direct impact based on House Bill 1 and the contributions from the Redevelopment Commission. It would have a direct impact of $500,000 to the city of Michigan City. So you saying that the wheel tax generates how much money?
$620-some thousand a
Okay,
year.
all right, let's say $600,000 from the wheel tax, and the city of Michigan City gets their 5%. If they request 5% property tax generated on increased assessed value pertaining to the TIF district, the cities, towns, and counties, to fund public safety services of the TIF area. In other words, $600,000 for this, $500,000 for that. Angie, there's over $1 million.
Well, just keep in mind that there is a certain problem there, because they can only use that money for construction or reconstruction of roads, streets, and this type of thing. So
I understand, but if we're losing that country crossing,
I believe the community crossings money says you can use, you
it
have
also
to
says
use,
community crossings money.
you have to use 50% of it for actual construction, and the rest, which blows me away. You could use the other money for other things that are transportation related, which
residential.
Find out what that means in Marion County, and we'll know what it means for the state.
It's a residential housing TIF districts established after June 30th, 2025 will be required to transfer at least 5% property taxes generated on the incremental assessed value, VA, to the authorizing taxing unit, city, town, and county, to fund public safety services in a TIF area. This means that a portion of the revenue that might have previously been available for schools used under the 15% allocation for job training could now be diverted to public safety purposes. This is House Bill 1.
Michigan City just passed, well, the county passed the income, public safety income tax.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a completely different direction.
Okay.
They passed the wheel tax. I'm going to say, and I'm not talking Republicans or Democrats, they cannot stop spending money. They do not have the ability. And I'm not going to even go that direction. The direction I want to go is, if you have a system in place, and the constitutional framers put our government in place, that seems to be, I don't want to say failing, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. There's always more money, more taxes, more fees. The need just never stops. And we saw that in the council meeting. We got to have this 600,000. We don't get community crossings. If we don't do it right now, second and third reading, we can't do it till next year. The Riverboat Casino is losing money. Mayor Angie says she wants to potentially take this money and do our own paving. Well, you still, and buy $2 million potentially worth of paving equipment, that a street department do the paving. Councilman Prespolinski says, you know, we got streets that are going to be paved. Wabash, Washington, Franklin, Boulevard, those are all multi-million-dollar projects, and we just don't have the money. So then I keep going back to, why do you keep trying to do something that fails miserably? I'm sorry, and not just talking about Michigan City, it's every community is talking about, I need more money, I need more money, I need more money. And we all say, there seems like an endless need of money. And at some point, the constituent's going to be tapped out of money. And people are doing things because they're starving and they're poor, because you say, you know, Michigan City is majority's in poverty. And people are going to do things they shouldn't have to do to make ends meet. Steal, do bad things, and we just keep going back to the trough asking for money. So that's a different direction. We keep trying to run a system that doesn't work. When Michigan City got the casino, we had a budget, right? You guys were around. We had police, police would share a car. We had firefighters, they had fire equipment, and then all of a sudden we got the casino, and I talked about it last week. We get about $10 million a year. So we've spent in interest and accrued money over 30 years, or whatever, close to 30 years, $1.5 billion. The system doesn't work. We have to try something else. You keep saying we have to do something different, but we're not. We keep going down this road, and politicians, elected officials, keep promising, well, I got to fix the potholes, and I need more money, and if you don't give me something for wheel tax, I need more money, and I need more police, and I need more fire, and I need more EMS. The system, I don't know what the answer is, but it cannot continue. It will not continue, and at some point, you will have tapped everyone out of their money, and I don't know where we're at. And what I wanted to bring up was, and you guys probably know this, most viewers don't, we are on cable access right now. Mm-hmm. Free show, thank goodness for Michigan City cable access, but most people don't know where that money comes from.
Subscribers.
Yeah.
No, before this.
Pardon me?
When Michigan City started and they put a satellite dish out there, out west of town, and they ran their cable lines, right? And Michigan City had cable TV in Michigan City. We had our big satellite dish. Back in the 80s, had this big satellite dish, right? And then Comcast came along and I guess made an offer for it and bought it. And the rights to do that, to use the lines that Michigan City ran, created funding for things like this. Because they had to license that from Michigan City. So Michigan City could do things that could potentially earn a profit and make money instead of keep going back to the well and asking the citizens for money. So this whole studio runs off of money from Comcast because of a licensing agreement with the city of Michigan City for the lines that they installed on the power poles back in the 80s.
Again, I'm not going to criticize you, but I was on the city council when we brought Cox to the city of Michigan City. Myself, Evelyn Baker, and Burl Bergwald was on the committee, and we flew around to determine where the head-end unit was to be located and so on.
Yeah.
In the negotiation that we made with Cox, that Comcast is now continuing, there were 3 channels: ecumenical school channel, and
Public
access channel.
Yeah, you guys did that.
That was a given. That was a given back then, and that continues to today, regardless of who.
You made a good deal.
Yeah, but
Michigan City made a good deal.
But the bottom line is the subscribers of cable TV,
yes,
the people who pay their monthly allotment to have the cable services brought into their house, a portion of that fee goes to run this operation. That same portion goes to run cable TV in the city of LaPorte. Mm-hmm. And you know what Tom Dermody is doing with that money? He's not giving his money that he's accumulated to the head-end unit here in Michigan City. He's keeping it for himself. And he's cheating this organization of their funds that are available to them, and he's not giving it to the Elko TV
Community
to
access.
improve. He's not doing it.
But you made a good deal. The city made a good deal with a private company
Correct.
to fund this.
Correct.
And now the system just not working. I mean, we don't have enough
Well,
money.
I'm just
and
saying-
everyone says we don't have enough money to fix the roads, to do it. We don't have enough money.
Whoa. Let me give a partial answer to what Tony's talking about. And what he's talking about is the fact that we, over the years, have built up a system that supplied, I'm going to tell you, probably 44 to 45,000 people, if you count the prison in Michigan City. Today, we have approximately, with the prison, about 30,000. We have basically lost a third of our population. But all those systems that we put in place, all those roads we put in place, all the developments we put in place were built for about 45,000 people. Now the problem really comes in is, how do you subtract out the roads that we built, the systems that we built? When people have gotten used to them, people are going to be very upset if they don't have those, but we don't have the tax base that we had when we had 45,000 people. Not only do we not have the individual units paying property taxes, we don't have many of the manufacturing situations that we had. That's why, when we've had this opportunity to bring in data centers,
Oh, yeah.
that will replace a significant part of what we lost. If you look at the ability of our sanitation department and our water department to provide the services, they will tell you that they're wide open for this because they lost so many houses that were on the water, on the sanitation. They lost so many manufacturing firms that were on the water and sanitation. So their ability to provide these services is significantly greater than the services they have to provide. But as long as we've got that ability and as long as we've got those sewers out there and we've got that treatment plant, we have to pay the overhead to keep that going. And that's why it's so important that we get companies like we're talking about. It's also important that we get the kinds of companies, these would be hotel motel situations, really good ones, such as JW Marriott, which apparently we're going to have for the North End at some point. Again, pays a lot of taxes, but doesn't put more people into the school system.
Doesn't need services. And that's my exact point. We are going back to the well to the citizens when we should be going to the well of corporate and growth.
Yes.
And I don't know why, and not just Michigan City, and LaPorte's doing a very good job at it, go after that growth. We're going to have, hopefully we have Mike Schultz, the county assessor, on, and he will explain to you there's two parts of that funding. There's the funding we get for property tax, and there's a growth portion of that funding, which we don't get unless we grow. So that's why I say the system doesn't work when we pass taxes and fees and go back to the well of the citizens instead of trying to keep and make sure we get corporate in here. And I want to go back to Bob's point. In the 80s, we didn't have those people either. They were gone by then.
Yeah.
And we still ran a city. We ran a city in the 80s with very little money. And we ran the city with the same people that are here today. Probably more were in the 80s than there are here today. And we ran the city. It ran. And then we got the casino. And I think we overran the city and took that money and just, I don't know what return on investment we got, but we spent it. And now we go to the council and they come to the council for a wheel tax and an excise tax for about $600,000 a year because there's not enough money and we can't provide the services. Well, what happened? Because in the 80s, the city ran. Yeah, I grew up in the 80s. I was a teenager in the 80s. We didn't have police cars that each had their own police car. People shared police cars, which was no fun. But it ran, and if we would have saved our money, just like when we went with Cox Cable, and that happened right about in the 80s, we built our city on the backs of businesses, not on the backs of the taxpayers and the homeowners in Michigan City. That's the problem.
Well, let me just talk a little bit about what Tony's saying, the adverse side of that, which is, yes, we built our city on the backs of those businesses, but many of those businesses left. Now, what did happen is they didn't take some of that population with them. Now, because we didn't have those businesses and those industries, the straight-time hourly wage in Michigan City went down, even though we were in a period of inflation. Because all we had was some restaurants, things like that, still trying to survive, some cleaners, and all they could pay was basically the minimum wage or a little bit above the minimum wage, because they didn't have the income from the kinds of income they would have had if those businesses were there. Now, how is that working out today? Well, one of the things that President Trump is doing is he's trying to bring these businesses back, and he's really headed for the Midwest. I think the data center is just the beginning. I think you're going to see more of that. But throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where did those businesses and industries go? They either went overseas, Mexico and other places, or they went south. Now, why go south? Because if you go south in that day and age, they had a lot of unused land. You didn't have to worry about environmental problems on that land, because the only thing it had ever been used for was farming.
And they were paying those people a pittance.
Well,
They were paying
certainly
them
weren't.
nothing compared to us.
Well, Sam Walton is a guy that really figured it out when he built Walmarts, because he would go ahead with his pickup truck and figure out where the population and where the industries were going to be built, and then he'd buy land. And I have a little story about that, because I worked.
But we're getting off the subject. We're getting off the subject of finances here in Michigan City.
Well, yeah, but this is the thing that's got to be stopped.
They're not working.
Huh?
We're not going back.
You got to
people
bring
and
this
paying
back.
more and more money.
And I've got three. You have a vehicle. How many vehicles you got?
I got none in the city of Michigan City. Boy, good luck.
Okay, how many vehicles you got?
I got 6 of them.
There
You
go.
got 6 of them.
Well-
okay, I've got 3 of them. Okay, so we got
Well,
7 vehicles.
I have 3 antiques.
Okay. Well, regardless, you still have tires on those vehicles.
Yeah.
You still had to purchase the tires from someplace. Do you realize that the state of Indiana has a fund of 25 cents per tire on the purchase of a tire? When you go like to Flanagan's or whoever, you have to pay a recycling fee of 25 cents. And there are 5 entities in the city of Michigan City who sells tires. You project that concept over the entire state of Indiana, and you establish a fee for recycling of tires. You're going to, I bet you're going to have a tidy sum, because how many tires are on there tearing up the roads? I'm just saying there's a funding mechanism out there for people who drive and utilize the city streets for their business and service that you're talking about, that could pay more for the tires that they use to wear down our city streets. Nothing's happening. That 25 cents has been on the books for the last 30 years.
What I'm saying is we are going and taxing and feeing the citizens instead of working with the business. But now we have some businesses. We got some business with big money coming in.
It's a start.
We need to make sure that money is not frittered away again. Again, we are going to get a bunch of money, but we got to spend it on everything else, and we don't save anything. We don't look 10 years in the future. We just, I don't know, we're like grasshoppers who just wait till the next season comes along.
But my issue pertained to the wheel tax, the county.
I don't think they should have done it. I mean, I think they should.
I mean, there are other ways to generate funds.
I agree, and I think every community should have stood up to Indianapolis and says no.
And
we're
this
not
says
passing that.
absolutely nothing about that
We're not
recycling
passing
fee.
that wheel tax. We are not doing this, folks. You go back in session next spring and you find another way, because we're not going to put up with this and hold us hostage for our community crossings paving money, because you want us to tax our citizens some more. They are tapped out.
There are 94 counties in the state of Indiana, or 92 counties, and if all of those counties,
If 91 went up against one and said we've had enough, this would never happen.
that 25 cent fee could be considered as an additional funding mechanism.
I like the one council member says they're sitting on $2 billion. They're not sharing that either.
Let me change the subject a little bit, because I got something that's a lot better than that 25 cent fee. And I'm going to talk about what's known as...
Don't take me wrong. I'm talking about enhancing that 25 cent fee to maybe $2.50 or something like that.
Okay. Let me talk about something that I think is a lot better, and that's this apprenticeship readiness program. It's an Indiana plan that has been adopted and is being heavily promoted by Angie, the mayor of Michigan City. I went to their first meeting. It was very positive. And what it does, it puts individuals into the apprenticeship programs in electrical, in machinery, in carpentry and gives them a chance over the period of, in some cases, 4 years, in other cases, 5 years, to become journeymen at a very good salary. Now, as a result of this, they have a program out. I went to the first session that the mayor held, and we had less than 20 people. I was hoping that we would see a lot more. It didn't happen. But for those people that were there, if they can follow through, it will be a real positive situation. If you are interested in an apprenticeship program to learn carpentry, to learn electrical work, to learn how to drive big machinery, this is the place to go. Let me give you the contact person in Michigan City. Her name is Kyla Ward, and our phone number is 219-873-1400, extension 2018. Now, if you don't live inside Michigan City, because this particular program is being promoted by the mayor, but we also have the same program, same people would be eligible outside, and that's you go to the Northwest Indiana NWI Area Director. His name is Emmanuel Turner, and his phone number is 219-884-4503. And he will guide you through the system. Now, if you just want to go on the internet right away and find out about it, www.indianaplan.org. One more time, www.indianaplan.org. We have got to get, but I don't want to do this by law, I want to do this by training. The average straight-time hourly wages in Michigan City and LaPorte County up seriously. And if we can get people trained, and that's also going to have to become part of our school system, they are going to have to start, at this point, having requirements that they teach summer school, Saturday classes for kids that are below their grade level in terms of performance. You have got to get these kids extra help, and they have got to go to it, and we have got to have administrators that when those kids are not in class, they will find out from their parents, from their guardians, why in the hell they're not there on Saturday or in summer school. But we have got to get the knowledge level of the kids coming out up significantly to take advantage of the availability of jobs at a high level, not only in the Midwest, but also in the East Coast and the West Coast. And we have a lot of kids who wound up in the West Coast in the same age group that my son came out of, where he wound up in Arizona. We had 2 more kids from Michigan City working for the same company within 100 yards in the same building for Raytheon. And he was second, and then another kid that he knew came a class behind him. That kid was third. The Michigan City, well, in this case, it's the parochial school system, Marquette High School, Purdue University in engineering, and out to the West Coast. And that's been one of the things that's happened for the last 30 years.
And that's why when we talk about the state of Mississippi and how they've improved, that concept starts in 3rd grade. And that issue has to be implemented in the basic flashcards, phonics, and so on. How I get my information is I read. You know,
Amazing.
it's amazing, amazing what you can
So I'm glad you
glean
went
with just
back.
reading.
You went back to education because most people don't know this. In major colleges, nearly every major college, you can take a class on how to learn, and you get credit. And I don't know. I think we all need to start there. Just expecting students to show up, or people to
That
show
don't
up
cut
and
it,
know
no.
how to learn. They don't know how to learn. Please, we need some help to teach them. It sounds crazy. It sounds ludicrous.
But
how
it's
to
like
learn.
it's laying that
You have to
necessary
learn how-
foundation.
It's like learning how to take a test. These are things you learn. It's like learning to pound a nail. You have to learn. You have to have a class on how to learn. How am I supposed to learn to read? How am I supposed to learn how to do math? How am I supposed to learn how to write? How am I supposed to learn how to use a calculator? We are missing the very foundational level, which I think Mississippi is hitting on. And they have some classes on how to teach kids how to learn, so they don't come to something that says, well, read this, and here's a noun and a pronoun and a verb, and this is what you should know. Well, how am I supposed to understand how to do those? Could you show me how to learn? And that is leaps forward once you get them to understand how they need to learn, and then they can learn. It sounds crazy, But there are classes, and I'm telling you, there are classes in major universities across this nation that students who are freshmen can take, and they'll teach you how to learn, how to read, how to organize, how to take a test, and you are far better off. And we don't do that.
And putting it simplistic, demographic gains. The state educational reforms have resulted in low-income students. There's a lot of them at the 61% poverty level that exists here in Michigan City, but this happens to be in Mississippi, outperforms their demographic counterparts nationally. If they can do it in a extremely lower financially state, a poor state, if they can do it there, why the hell can't we do it here?
And then I want to go back to this Indiana plan. I've talked to some trades last week about various things that are going on in Fort County, and they have been doing this for years. And they said that they hold these outreach to students or younger people, 18, 21, to get involved in the union trades. And they do a very good job. They're talking anywhere from $85,000 to $125,000 a year, full benefits, health care, and everything. And they said they're lucky, after all said and done, to get one person, to come out and join and get a union or apprenticeship.
Because a sound foundation hasn't been established.
Well, they need to put this in the schools.
Correct.
And I hope the unions, because I told them, hey, you guys, and Mary Angie's doing a good job, the school needs to team up. And in today's day, I think every parent knows this, when their students are in high school or getting ready to graduate, they force them to sign up for financial aid. I believe they even take time out of the day to force them to fill out the application for financial aid. Whether you can get it or not, they take time and force you to fill that application out. Whether you can get it or you earn too much, why aren't we having classes for these trades with every student? And maybe if you get 5, that's better than 1 every class.
Yeah.
This is so sorely needed. And I know we need learning and mathematics and reading, but when you're up in high school, junior, senior, you should be required to take this course or whatever, this training for a week or 2, whatever it is, because we need those tradespeople. We need those tradespeople more than we need college people. And those tradespeople make money right out the gate. They're not paying for it.
I want to give you an example. I sat in on a class, a 5th grade group of students. I won't mention the school, but I sat there, and their teacher had like a gigantic flashcard, and there was a question on this flashcard that provided the answer, and there were kids that were in the 5th grade level that you could, when you read the sentence that gave you the answer, couldn't provide an answer to the initial question that was asked. The comprehensive skills are not there.
Well, first they haven't taught them how to learn.
Correct.
They just expect students to come in there, and we do this across the country, across the world. We expect you to know how to learn. Again, it sounds crazy, but it's not. People don't know how to learn. They don't know that they're going to see a sentence and that the answer is probably part of that sentence.
But I mean, it was even highlighted. It was all caps highlighted, the answer to the...
That's how simple this is,
Yeah.
and we just ignore it. But Mississippi obviously catches on, and other areas is doing this. And I believe some of the parochial schools realize that some students don't know how to learn, and they might have a course on it, but their teachers help them on the side. What are you looking at, and how do you recognize what you need out of this? That's a whole different mindset than here's a times table and read this book, and here's a vowel and a pronoun and a verb, and good luck, you should know how to do this as long as we beat it into you senselessly. But Mississippi's caught on to this, and we need to make sure that the students know how to learn, are ready to learn, we pay our teachers, and things like the trade schools, which I think are even more powerful than colleges right now, by far, need the opportunity during school to know this. The days are, I said last week, the days are gone when you're going to hold an outreach and students or young people are going to show up. That's not going to happen. Not unless you're going to give them an iPad or a free phone or something. They ain't showing up.
Let me go back to something that I talked about several weeks ago. CNBC did a study, they do it every year, and they spend months on it, of 50 states, in the top states to do business in the United States. Indiana actually came in 9th overall. But where we were weak, we made it on a lot of other items, but where we were weak was workforce and education. Now, when it came to workforce, to take a look at what was in there, the number one thing was a skilled workforce that is in very short supply. Now, what are we looking for in that skilled workforce? Well, you can take the mnemonic STEM. Stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. They need people with college degrees. We need people with associate's degrees. And we need people, they recognized all three, with industry certifications. What he's talking about in terms of the unions is that those industry certifications. Obviously, we need state worker training programs. That was a big item in there. We need to increase our worker productivity on an individual basis. That you do through the use of AI. You do it through the use of robots. And let me just talk a little bit about robots, because one of the situations that we're talking about now as Trump tries to bring back jobs is mining. And mining used to be extremely dangerous. We had all kinds of people get hurt, get killed in mining. Today, in mining operations, they do robots. They put a robot down to mine coal, to mine copper. Actually, I think it's bauxite that turns into copper. Now, who is going to run these robots? People that have the ability to understand how to do engineering and how to handle these robots. Because these robots are not going to go on their own. They have to be programmed to be able to go down into the
They go on their own, we're in trouble.
They're on their own, we're in trouble. They have to be programmed to go down into these mines. They have to be programmed to do the work that they're going to do. But if one of them happens to be in where a mine collapses, maybe you knock out 25 robots, that's pretty easily taken care of. We can't take care of 25 individuals.
I thought copper mines were open pit mines. I didn't know that they were mined like coal. They're gigantic holes.
I think they're both.
They're both.
They're
Yeah.
both?
Yeah.
Well, it just seemed you see the gigantic hole in the ground.
I
And
think they're mining into shaft mining, and whatever they come across, they're taking.
Yeah.
Coal, bauxite, gold.
again, they discovered a new rare earth open pit mine in was it Wyoming?
Yeah, and they're having problems getting it into work because,
Because some judge
Yeah.
stopped them, right? Says we can't do it.
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Well, there we go back to China and begging China for our.
Now, one thing the council talked about, I believe Mayor Angie talked about, was that funds are drying up. And Florida, Governor of Florida, DeSantis, he's come out, and so has most of his party and his legislature says, we're done with property taxes. We're done making people owe the government for their house that they've lived in, they paid off. And I think that is going to sweep across the nation. I guarantee it's going to come to Indiana. And Mayor Angie was talking about that. And Michigan City, just like every community, that's why I started this, change the subject. We're so stuck on property tax and the way we're doing things, and we call it in upper circles and knowledge base, they call it a paradigm shift. You have to shift your viewpoint and the way you do things if you want something to change. You can't keep trying the same things on the same system and expect a different outcome. It's not going to happen. Well, the chances are you're going to get the same outcome. The chances that something different is going to come out different, very small. Unless you change your attitude, change your viewpoint, change your system, you're not going to get a different result. Your odds are almost zero. So I think that's coming. And I've said it many times, and I say it publicly, privately, as a politician, say the same thing. I am tired of owing the government on the house I own. I can never own it. They always want money. Shift it to an income tax. If I buy a $50,000 Mercedes, which I can't afford, I pay tax. If I want to buy McDonald's 5 days a week, I pay a tax. That's my choice. And I want to go quickly back to some of the discussion at the council, because I believe Mr. Prespolinski brought it up about the EVs not paying their fair share, and Councilman Moldenauer said that they pay $124 to $250 a year. I did a quick calculation, and that's about what we all pay when we pump our gas 10, 15 gallons a day, 10 to 15 gallons every 2 weeks. That's about what we pay. So the state has done that calculation, and it seems pretty close to being fair. And I only want to bring that up because they were saying that this wheel tax is something that everyone pays, but they weren't saying it's fair, because it's not fair. It's not fair in any way. This wheel tax is not fair. If somebody only drives to the store once a week, how's that fair compared to Dave, who drives around town 10 hours a day? I don't know. I mean, it's not fair.
Like, basically, I drive
And that's why
once a month.
I'm glad you brought up the tires, the 25 cents, because that is fair. If you use up your tires and you got to buy brand new tires, then you got to pay another fee on it because you used up your tires. So the person who only buys tires every 5 years or 7 or 10 years, it's not paying this. And I don't fault the city council. It's the state saying we have to pass a wheel tax. That's not fair. Okay, I got to pay you every year for this car. Maybe a car you drive one time, I got to pay. Or the car that doesn't weigh anything compared, I'm sorry, electric car would weigh what? 5 times a regular car? That's not fair either. That takes a lot more toll on that pavement than does that regular little car, like Paul Presmunsky said. He had a little Jeep with a 2-liter turbo. It probably doesn't weigh much and he gets good gas mileage. But now he's got to pay a $25 tax because the state said we have to, and we, 91 counties, didn't go back to the state and says, no, we're not doing it. Change the rules. We have representatives in the state of Indiana that have to come home and have to answer to what happened downstate, and we should not be beholden to Indianapolis. I'm sorry. If they want to do that, then go ahead. But we shouldn't be beholden to, we're keeping your money. We're not going to give you any more payment money unless you do another tax or a fee on your constituents. They should say no. And they should tell their state reps to go down there and say, no, we're not doing that. You're giving them their money back for paving their roads, which you should have taken in the first place. And we should have our nice roads. Or if not, again, I'm going back to where I started. Systems of failure this. And we're not fixing it. We're just going back to the trough and more money out of your pocket. Whether it's fair or not, we're taking your money.
Well, I do have an example of one very unusual expenditure. I'm not sure what Tony's going to say about this one. But the city of Noblesville, Indiana, which is just above Indianapolis, now has a program that they will pay engineering science majors that do not live in the state of Indiana, but are from the state of Indiana. Now, they could have gotten their degrees from an Indiana school and then moved, or they could have gotten their degrees from whatever state they live in. But they will pay them to come back to Noblesville. That is quite a program. The only reason I know about it is because they had the mayor of Noblesville on, and one of the individuals, he was born, I guess, lived for about 16 years in the state of Indiana. Then his parents moved to Texas, got his degrees in Texas, called the state of Indiana and said, well, Noblesville has a program, you want to talk to him? He talked to him, and Noblesville said, hell, we'd be glad to pay you to come back.
Because we're going to go back to education on that.
Yeah.
Because we're starving for people with abilities. So starving that we will pay them to come here. When Michigan City has schools and money, pay the teachers, programs we should put in place for Indiana plans for union trade jobs.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that these union trade jobs, you could be earning $45, $65 an hour, $130,000 a year.
But just keep in mind, it's 5 years of training.
Yeah, but you don't pay for it. It's free training.
It's free, and you get paid for working while you're there.
You get paid for working.
Yeah.
I mean, I grant you, it's not an easy job. You ever see a pavement person putting on 12 hours a day on 250 pavement comes out at a minimum, I believe you have to have it more than 230 degrees. You can't lay it down. It's pretty hot, and on a 90-degree day, it's really hot. Or a roofer, or an electrician putting electricity in, or the HVAC guy putting in, because HVAC, he's probably there putting in the system and he don't got an air conditioner on yet. Neither does the electrician because there's no electricity yet. Ain't easy, but the pay is awesome. It's a career. I think it's AI guaranteed. You're not going to get AI'd out. Can't do that yet. Robots aren't going to get that. That's 15, 20 years, 30 years down the road. We need those people. So yeah, Noblesville's paying people to come back because they realize they're starving for talent.
And by the way, you're going to be well trained. You're going to know the safety procedures, and they're going to make sure that the people around you also are adhering to the safety procedures, such as alcohol and pot and whatever else, not being there on the job site and you coming in with it in your system. They're very concerned about safety, And I really like the fact that they have gotten onto that.
And not just safety of things of that nature, safety on the job. These are union carpenters or union people that have been there for 100 years. They know the problems that you can get into, and they make sure they'll train you not to do things to get yourself hurt. They've been there. They've seen it. People have gotten hurt. People have died. That's why the unions exist, to help the safety aspect in training. They know what's going to happen, right? They know what that machine's going to do. They know what a high voltage electricity is going to do. They know what the pavement asphalt, 230-degree pavements could burn you. If you get it on you, it's sticky. They know. They're ready to train their people to get ready. And to people that come out and they try to do big projects without their union people, it just doesn't work. They fail. They fail miserably because the union people have experience on their side.
Yeah, well, that's through all the training, they've got the experience. On the bright side, if you go down to the corner of 11th and Franklin Street and look at the South Shore Station, you will see that that's gotten up there. It looks like right now we're at 8 stories. And I think probably by Thanksgiving, they will be in operation. The parking garage is already finished. I would think by Thanksgiving they're going to be in operation, and they're going to be renting apartments. And I understand Dave's wife has already told him that she would like one of those apartments along with their house. And Dave keeps shaking his head no. But hey, in life, it's happy wife, happy life.
The situation where I live, my house is paid for. I'm a military veteran. I get veterans benefits because of my disability. My taxes are nowhere near what you guys are paying.
We shouldn't have any taxes.
Well, I do have, but I'm paying 50 cents, 50%
Remember,
less.
I'm in the same boat you are.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you do it, but maybe you say if you lived in your house for 30 years and it's the same house that's paid off, you don't pay taxes anymore.
Maybe the solution is mandatory military service for every male over the age of 18, either that or college.
A lot of nations do that.
Dave, I hate to tell you this, 77% of the people, now this may have changed in the last 3 months, but 3 months ago, 77% of the people that took the physical and the academic test to get in the military couldn't pass. What do you mean we're going to put every male in there?
They then follow the concept of Mississippi at the 2nd and 3rd grade level to improve that scenario.
We're going to
That's
have to improve their health for 2 years before they're going to be any good to us.
So I think,
But you got to start someplace.
Yeah, that's true.
Mississippi started in 2013,
Yeah.
and they are above the national norm right now.
Yeah.
What are they doing that we cannot do here in the state of Indiana?
Well, in Michigan City.
I mean,
they're taking a new attitude.
they took a new attitude, right? Well, I've been saying, I wore that baby, that comment out about taking a new attitude.
I thought about you all week. They're taking a new attitude.
Well,
They're
basically-
looking at things differently.
Basically, what happened was Mississippi was at the 49th and the 50th level
Yeah, no,
for many years.
they had to- they had
got
to do-
tired
They
of
had
that.
nothing to do but go up.
Yeah.
That's right.
They said, we got to do
No,
something.
I believe, I understand Mayor Angie's right, that I think you're going to see this, not next session, but in 4 years, in the real session, that maybe there's some discussion about getting rid of property taxes in some form. I wholeheartedly agree. Why do we
Well, that was a
why are we
topic-
holding to?
In this House Bill 1, bring major property tax reforms was a topic that was discussed April the 17th, 2025. It was an issue that was discussed at the level, but it didn't go
And we
beyond.
gave you a relief on our backs.
Yeah.
Which I do not think is fair. And if you want to cut taxes or cut property, cut them. And change it to a sales tax or an income tax. I don't know. Just cut property tax. In my opinion, was the United States was never set up that people had to pay property taxes because you never own your property. Not at all, I think, what the framers ever thought would happen. And here we are. In Florida, I think Florida's going to be the first.
Yeah.
Texas will probably be the second. They're going to do away with it. No property tax. And the municipalities will have something else to fill the hole, but probably another fee, probably another tax. I don't know, but property tax at first has got to go. You can't. It's not fair to pay property, and I don't think wheel tax is fair either. If you got a car you got to pay every year, and you drive it once a year, how fair is that? Not fair at all. But here we are.
Before we get cut off, my usual announcement about the farm orchards in LaPorte County. More and more of them are open. If you need some help, the Visitors Bureau has a guide out. All of the orchards in LaPorte County are mentioned in there. in the kinds of produce that they have. Take advantage of it. It's great, and it's locally farmed and raised. And I think you're going to find that you're going to get your overall best deals if you go to these farm markets and pick up on what they specialize in. We also have a farm market in Michigan City. It's on Saturday mornings, as I recall. It's on the corner of Wabash and 10th Street. Take advantage of it.
And as I look at the chart, apples are coming up here.
Oh yeah,
Apples
cider.
and the apples and the apple cider that in northern Indiana and southern Michigan are out of this world amazing. Just as fresh as you can get.
Yeah.
And the farms will even let you go out and pick, right? They'll drive you out there and pick. Now, I would like to stay in LaPorte County because I think our farm markets are accessible and easily, and they haven't been overrun yet. If you go to Lake County or Porter County or even somewhere in Michigan, those farm markets are just overrun. And we have a jewel over here, and
Well, they have more population.
yeah, they have more population. In Garwoods, the number of apples they have are amazing. So we have good orchards around here that you don't have to get run into with 1,000 people on a weekend. And you get a good deal.
Yeah, I want to go to House Bill 1 in 2025. Several new laws will take effect in Indiana, impacting areas such as education, property taxes, and youth employment. A key change is to limit how much property tax bills can increase. That was discussed in House Bill 1. And then they talk about youth employment, lowering the age of youth employment from
15 with some restrictions to, I don't know what
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
13?
And so discussions, you can talk about anything. We can talk about anything here, but implementing the issue that we are talking about takes a lot of intestinal strength, and it just doesn't seem to happen
It's
around
not
here.
only implementing, it's also following through and making sure that it works.
That is correct, yeah.
Now, we've known about this wheel tax, this excise tax, since it was passed in what, May?
Yeah.
Signed right away and in effect in July. And we waited until we had to pass it, like it was an emergency and a second and third reading. We all know what happened. We purposely waited. They're very smart people. Purposely wait to the last moment so you have no choice. Because if you have to correct me if I'm wrong, if you want to pass something in second and third reading, it has to be unanimous. If
Yeah.
one person says no, then it has to go to the second and third reading.
Right.
And we had a whole council that just passed it. I think they should have done the minimum. I think they shouldn't have done it at all. We should have waited till last year. We should have got our 91 counties together. We should have formed that group and says, we're not doing this. You go back down there and you change the law. This is not fair. You're holding our money hostage. But instead, we just say, okay, there's nothing we can do. Sorry, citizens, you got to pay some more money.
And then it's a fight between those who are going to benefit from it to try to get in on how do we access this money through contracts.
And I always like to see if there's an easier way that government can do more. But when we talk about trying to do paving ourselves, Indiana Department of Transportation does have their own paving crew. Probably seen them out on the highways once in a while. And they have their own machine. We got 5 minutes. They still have to buy their pavement. Their hot mixed asphalt. They still have to buy it from the same few people who sell it. And in fact, LaPorte County, just north of Toll Road on 39, had Reith Riley, and who's the other one that got sold out, just got sold out, somebody else. They had their own paving plants. They're paving asphalt mix plants. They took it, one's gone in LaPorte. They took it out. When it got sold, they dismantled the system, and it's impossible. It's really hard regulatory to get one of these paving plants up and running, let alone to run one. So if NDOT tries to do their own paving, I say they try. If you drive down 94, you've probably seen some patches they've done. I give them kudos for trying. It doesn't work. They put a real thin coat down. It doesn't work. And the point is, you can buy the equipment and the machinery. Hopefully you can find the people in your employment. And if the people are doing paving in Michigan City, I can predict what's going to happen. If you get a paving crew on the street department that's paving, they're going to get a discussion from the unions. And they're going to want them to become unionized. And you thought you saved money? Didn't work. And you still have to buy your hot mix asphalt from the manufacturers that are scarce in the area. Doesn't matter.
There's a thing in paving called when they recycle the streets, the wrap material,
The millings.
the milling material. Why can't they take that milling material, truck it back to the plant, and
They
implement?
do. They can only use 35%.
Only
They can only
35%.
use 35%. If you want to do some research, and I know Dave does awesome research on the internet, check out California, how they do paving. They have a paving train that mills it, picks it back, reconverts it, puts it back down the same time. They just run this train down the lane, and they pave lanes at a time. They don't go back to the plant.
Well, as an option
Pretty
to
cool.
all new recycled paving, maybe they should enlarge that 35%.
They can't because it's too dried out. It's not enough moisture. Well, I understand. So you see lots of milling piles laying around. They
You
can
do.
only do 35%, and they have to find a place for the other 65% somewhere else. Now people can lay it down and let it dry
As a
out.
sub base?
As a sub, but they got to let it dry out for a couple of years. So no, they would really like to reuse it right there. But California has a way, so we got 2 minutes. I don't want to be such a downer, but when I watched it, I just tapped out in energy because here we go, back to the constituents. We need more money. Open your pocket.
Well, it's football season. The Chicago Bears play tonight. Last
The Wolves
preseason
play
game.
tonight too.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It-
It'll be fun.
Yeah, here we go. IU, I think, opens on the 30th or the 31st.
We're talking Purdue up.
Yeah, I don't know when Purdue starts, but probably the same time. So for those of you that like football, and we'll challenge a couple of people here, one of the great stories of all time was written by a sports writer by the name of Grant Rice. When he saw the Notre Dame football team that had the backfield known as the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. So, who can look up and find out who were the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse?
Larry, Curly, Schmo, and
Somebody smarter than us.
No, these were football players.
Ah, that's it. We only got like a minute left.
only minute, about a minute to go, Andy.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for watching. Your input as to improvements or criticisms of this show is greatly appreciated. We welcome phone calls, ladies and gentlemen. We do welcome phone calls.
Or
at home.
emails.
Yeah, again, you might have to call Tony about 4 or 5 or 6 additional times before he picks up his phone, but he does answer once in a while when he thinks the matter is important. I want to please contact show's co-producers Bob Pollock, Dave Bila, or Tony Hendricks with your comments. You can email Bob at skrpollock@gmail.com, Dave at djbila1@hotmail.com, or Tony at emailhem@yahoo.com. Or you may direct your ideas for any future shows to our one and only staff writer who doesn't have a cell phone, who doesn't have a website, who absolutely does absolutely nothing in regards to this program. Her name is Sarah Bellum. Showing of our program will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m., Monday and Thursday evening at 7 p.m., and numerous times on Channel 99 when they got some dead air to fill, and Andy handles that. You may also enjoy watching our program Navigate News and Views. On YouTube.
Updated. All on there.
Yeah, updated. That's Tony's job. If you're missing a program, don't blame me. Don't blame Bob. There's the reason why the cricks are too high. I want to thank everybody for watching, and make it a good day.